Hi everyone, I'm Joan Kelley Walker. Thank you for joining us today as we take a stroll down the Fash Avenue. My special guest is Marie Kops, who is an artist and designer and the founder of Kops Productions. Welcome, Marie.
Thank you so much, Joan.
So Marie, you're originally from the Czech Republic.
Yes.
It's kind of a broad question, but what do you find are the differences between Canadian fashion and fashion in Europe?
Wow, big question.
Yes.
Actually, when I came to Canada in 1999, I was a little bit surprised because the fashion was really tuned down here, or not so avant-garde as the European countries. So, and also what I found is the multiculturalism here was covering a lot of different aspects of fashion, which I've never seen before in Czech Republic. So that was really refreshing to me, seeing all those different elements. But definitely I would say Canada was standing out a little bit more, kind of like a subtle, not so pronounced or not so loud in the fashion aspect.
And do you find that's a good thing? Do you think we should be less subtle and more pronounced?
I think we could be a little bit more louder in the aspect of the styling, but because Canada, particularly Toronto, it's so cold, I don't blame people. We want to be all warm and comfortable. So that, I think, weather plays a big role in our fashion.
Yeah, definitely. Totally agree with that. But
yes.
You can still kind of, pull it out by getting a great hat and some great gloves and a coat and cool boots and stuff. So let's talk about the industry here.
Mm-hmm.
Do you, the styling and the design aside, do you think the industry itself is doing enough to promote itself in Canada?
I think it can be better. I definitely think we should have a little bit more help out there in our country,
right,
to promote these designers, be maybe even more proud of them, help them maybe build a little stronger platform for sharing their work. And I think we are being left alone on our own. I don't think there is that type of, I would say, over us kind of like a power which would bring us up a little bit stronger. I think we are being left alone, like you are coping on your own and building your brand.
Right.
And I think sometimes it takes forever. So I think there could be some little bit more help in that aspect.
So as a designer, what would you, if you could ask for something from someone, what would you ask for and who do you ask it of?
Not sure, but I think that we should be more proud of the work we put actually into fashion or any art. And I think it's a little bit of lacking, and there are countries in Europe where you can actually see that the country is particularly very proud of their achievements. The designers are supported, I think. And I don't see it here so much. Maybe it is, but I think it could be a little bit more.
Right. So let's talk about your designs.
Yes.
What do you love to design?
I really enjoy accessories. I used to do a lot of fashion design, lots of garments and a lot of evening gowns. But I found in maybe five years ago, a stylist approached me and she asked me, can you make a crown? Can you make us wings? Can you make us a big collar? And I'm like, okay, I'll try. And she actually pushed me to explore those areas at the accessory kind of world. And I'm like, you know what? I actually like this much better than the garments, because there are a lot of fashion designers who cover that part in the fashion. And I'm like, you know what? But there are so little actually big accessories where you can play around with them and build a lot of structure or layers. And because I like the technique, the collage, where I actually use 5 different or 18 different trim and 5 different fabrics, and I cut the elements and I build them so they are actually a lot of 3D elements in them. So I explore that, and I was like, you know what, yeah, this is actually my area where I can combine the art a little bit with the fashion. And my pieces actually ended up being on all 5 continents during one of the leading hair companies. they were doing a tour, so they were pulling pieces from me, and so the pieces saw all the 5 continents. I haven't myself, but the pieces were actually traveling everywhere.
You must be so proud.
Yeah, it was a little bit of it was a surprise aspect, because they asked me, can we bring them to Vegas? I was like, yeah, sure. Now we are traveling to Colombia. Can we bring them to Colombia? Sure. Now we are going to Australia. Can we bring them to Sydney? I was like, okay. So it was a nice surprise.
And what is the She's a Queen collection? I love the name of that one.
Oh yeah, so because I am European, as you can hear, I really love queens. It's just like something, we were in Czech Republic, we were growing up on a lot of movies or like fairy tales, so I always adored the kind of like the royal aspect of Europe. So the first collection I did for the Fashion Art Toronto in 2016. Actually, it's called The Queen. And because it was a celebration of the opulence and all these aspects of the royal kind of families, so that's why I use this.
So where do you draw? I mean, that's one huge source of inspiration. Are there other sources that you draw from?
I must say I always look with my eye for the fabric first. I do not sketch. I'm not an artist who sketches on paper and then goes and searches. I go to the store and I see the fabric, and I already see like, okay, this can be done with that, plus this can be done with this fabric, and I start building that way. And then I execute and I make a lot of mess and then I do a lot of draping. So basically it's the other way around. I really do not work with paper at all. And if somebody would ask me, can you do something for me? I would have to see what they mean, and then I would go directly to the store and see what's available.
Do you design with someone in mind, or do you create the piece of art and then someone is drawn to it and then they might purchase it?
I have a lot of creative freedom because at least 80% of my work it's done by I want to do it, I want to explore somebody, or either somebody's asked me, but they give me a lot of freedom in making it. So I do not have that type of boundary in terms of how big, how much, or how I can execute that. So that's a plus. Not always, but sometimes, yes, it is the client who needs something specific, so it is actually tailored to them, to their size, to their whatever is needed. So then I have to look into who's going to wear that.
Right, and really understand where they're coming from too, because it would be terrible to make something that you're not really feeling and then put it out there with your reputation on it.
Absolutely.
So we have to talk about Fashion Shoot Extravaganza. Wow, what a special event that was. It was truly something unique and interesting for the city. How has it been received?
I think really well. I think I'm still reading a lot of compliments on Instagram, Facebook. We've already seen 2 articles coming out. So I think it was received really well. The production itself took a year and a half to pull it off, and I was thinking about this for 4 years. And because
so for people that may not know, can you just describe the concept of it?
So the concept was very simple. Because the city has seen a lot of fashion shows, and because my work has been in a lot of fashion shoots done for magazines, I was always thinking, how can I actually combine the fashion show and the fashion shoot element into entertainment and bring people into a venue and let them enjoy actually the live production right in front of their eyes.
Yeah,
and
I didn't know where to look. I was like fixated on one thing and I'm like, yeah, but I'm missing all that.
And then there was like, okay, but there is that behind the scene room also where that magic happens, and that is always disclosed to people, to public. So let's make that available as well. So then I came across a company who actually is doing beautiful, most of the time, weddings with huge decorative elements, structural elements. And they are 12 feet tall, 8 to 10 feet wide. And I'm like, okay, if we bring this on the set, it's not going to be the seamless paper half the time we shoot the editorials, but we are actually going to build a big structural element on the podium. So we had 4 different scenes. It was a little bit of a challenge because it's very heavy, we couldn't really move it around. But the whole point was also bringing the people who are building those editorial shoots, bringing them on the stage and shine the light on them, because they're the creative force behind all that work, and they are usually not being seen. They're not usually being acknowledged and celebrated enough. So the whole idea about Fashion Shoot Extravaganza actually is to celebrate that talent and really embrace them and give them the platform to shine and grow and be involved in that, because we always see the model beautifully put together. We see the photographer with the biggest
retouched magazine.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We see the photographer with the biggest font, and then everybody else is kind of like the sixth, small font. So I wanted to celebrate those people as well.
Oh, it was really, really beautiful. Now, just for myself, I know after I throw a party or have an event or something, I always keep thinking, oh, I should have done this, I should have done that, next time I'll do this. What are the elements that you'll incorporate next time?
I definitely would like to have a little bit more people on board, because this was a big production with a very tiny project, with a very tiny amount of people. And me staying up till 1:30 doing a PowerPoint the night before, that's not an ideal stuff. So I would definitely like to have more like kind of hands on deck, so helping with the real production stuff. In terms of execution, I would definitely like to play with more lights. And definitely the sound, I would like to have a little bit more advanced sound, like when you go to a movie where the sound is really bouncing everywhere and it's really very strong and gives you chills. So I think in terms of lighting and sound, there can be a lot of improvement done. And of course there's that secret stuff which I cannot reveal, but yeah, it was the first time. So overall, I think
very good starting point.
It was a very good starting point. I'm very, very tough on myself, and I was like, okay, if I'm aiming 150%, I can always deduct, and it'll at the end look at least decent. So that being very hard on myself, I think pulled it off, like at least to this extent.
Do you have other designers that you follow, that you get inspiration from? Or do you just say, I'm doing my thing, they're doing their thing, and let's just leave it at that?
I'll tell you this, Joan. When I was sitting in the early or late 90s at the Bank in Czechoslovakia, actually former Czechoslovakia, I opened the Elle magazine for the first time because it just came to our market. And I saw this guy with those glasses and a ponytail and a fan on a runway. And I'm like, who is this guy? Karl Lagerfeld.
Yes.
And it just seems that we have a little bit of something where I was designing something and he did it as well in his collection, or vice versa.
Similar way of thinking.
So it's just like something we are very tuned into the same type of decorated elements, or something we really both of us like. And no wonder we are both Virgos. So I think it's maybe that too, that he likes the detail and the combination of certain things.
Well, I hope one day you can meet him and compare notes. Show him your work. He'll be inspired by you.
It'd be nice, yes.
Marie, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
It's been a real pleasure chatting with you.
Thank you.
And thank you for joining us today as we took a stroll down the Fash Avenue.